let's see if this works. It may not. Who knows? Oh, that's very bright. Don't point at me, point at the case. There you go. It's very dark, isn't it? Anyway. I'm live. Oh, that's good. Hello. So I'll leave my phone open while I try and get some audio levels. So hopefully you can hear me okay. So I'll leave my phone open while I try and get some audio levels. So hopefully you can hear me okay. Right, let me turn that off. Don't need full screen, I can't see any. Why are there no comments? Why is there no comments? Is anyone watching? YouTube. Is it private or something? What's going on? Live. One person watching. Perhaps it's... Right, hang on. Anyway, forgive me, as Boris would say. Anyway, forgive me, as Boris would say. Anyway, right, let me copy a link of what the hell this is. How do I do that? Report. I should go. God, I'm so professional at this. How the hell do I copy the link? Share. There we go. Copy link. Right. Now I can't see any comments, which is particularly stupid. Hopefully you can all hear me. And hopefully... I don't know. Why it's not got comments, I don't know. It says comments are not available for this live stream. Did you configure... oh, too many questions. I'll come back to that. Okay, so I appear to be live, but I appear to have no comments, which is a bit stupid. If I open a browser, still no comments. Sorry guys, if you're talking away, I can't hear you, so apologies. Happy Saturday. Ah, lovely. Right, so hopefully you can hear me anyway. So I've been doing a few things on the pet of the last few, well, weeks and months. The first, let's go through them step by step. So you may or may not be able to see, as you look at the front case now, there are two floppy drives. They do work. Excuse me. They kind of do work. That one works. This one isn't connected yet. If I do connect it, well, let me start again. I'm waiting for a small PCB to arrive, which I've had made. It's not my design, it's someone else's design. I'll find the details later and hopefully give credit where credit is due. It allows you to have two floppy drives, two drives on an Amiga 500. I guess it would work on a 1200 and a 600 and whatever. Now it won't give you two floppy drives in so much as it doesn't have two signals that the floppy needs, which is whatever they are, motor and something else. So what that means is it can drive one floppy but not terribly successfully drive another. But what it will do is drive a Gotek just fine. So what I will probably do is have a floppy and pop a Gotek in there. I don't like Goteks, they're regular looking things, but my Gotek has an LCD display. You can put a rotary knob in there and you can get them this colour, or I might spray one this colour if I can't find one, which will look better, and that can stay there. I'm quite happy with that. So I'll probably change that for a Gotek. When the PCB comes, I'll probably show it being fitted or something, and we'll have two working A and B drives, because you can configure the Gotek quite easily as a drive, as a DF1, and that will be DFO, or vice versa if you wish. Now, so that's it. So that's the floppies. That's this housing I made at work. It's all steel. Okay, the whole case is steel. Weighs a ton. There is, if I lifted this off, which I can't, but if I did, you would see a housing that is open in a box type shape, like a shoebox, a flattened shoebox, with a metal bar, flat bar running along the bottom, and that lines up with the floppy disks. It has 4 little holes in there, and the holes line up with the screw holes on the base of the floppy drives. What that means is that can be taken out and a USB hub could be put in there, or a blank of some description for, I don't know, SD cards or whatever you like. So these are removable. You can swap them about. I'm old fashioned. I quite like floppy disk drives. It weighs a ton, so but we'll look at that at a later date. The screen itself is an IPS 14-inch screen with so many nits and bits and blops of contrast and brightness. It has a 130-degree viewing angle, so you can look this way and that way and that way and that way, or whatever it is. Not sure I believe all that, but it is quite a nice bright screen. It is reflective. I can't do anything about that. That's just how they are made. It is a 4.3 screen, of which there are incredibly few on the market, so my choices of screen are very limited. I would love to put a CRT in, but it's never going to happen, for many reasons. You can't get CRTs anymore, they don't make CRTs anymore, and the CRT will want to kill you. So an LCD is lighter, more easily obtainable, and you know, it's the modern day and age. Get on with it. I know people say they look better on CRTs, and yes they do, but you know, this is 2020, it's not 1980, so you know, move on. So it's an IPS LCD screen. We do have here a video mode changer on this button, which you probably can't see because it's dark. You can see it now, it's there. Oh, gone dark again. I'm shining a light on it, but not that it makes any difference. Next to that there's a hole. If I block the light, you can probably see it. There's a hole there for a volume control for the amplifier, which I haven't put in yet. You probably saw it the other day, the photo of it. It was hanging down here with the wires and I was playing about with it. So I need to fit the volume control on the side of the monitor so you can turn the volume up and down. I need to do a little bit of fancy wiring at the back of the machine to get the audio output from the Amiga. Well, it's not fancy wiring, it's quite easy. Into the amp so that it has volume from both native Amiga screens, OCS, and RTG. But it's all fed through the RCA sockets at the back of the Amiga, so it's no big deal. I just need to make a little split cable. I do need to make a loom inside this machine so I can make it look neat and nice, and then I need to get the loom made. I don't want to have wires hanging about all over the place looking messy. Whether that's achievable or not, well, it is achievable, it's just a case of paying for it. So we have metal surround on the screen. There is nothing on the screen at the moment, it's just a screen. I do have an anti-glare pad coming, which is that opening size. It won't fit on these particular screens, on this particular monitor housing that I've made at the moment, simply because I haven't left enough gap for one. For two reasons. One, I didn't have the LCD glare screen to fit, and two, I forgot, if I'm honest. When it was designed, or when we designed it and drew it all out, I forgot to say we need 2mm extra room there. So the next revision we will have a little gap there, so an LCD anti-glare screen will go there, if the anti-glare screen looks okay. If it looks rubbish, then I won't fit one. But I would like to put a screen there of some description, so you're not getting all this sort of carry on when you touch the screen. Because they're very easy to mark and damage. They're quite fragile. So that's the screen. The screen has two speakers built in. It's a monitor. They are rubbish, but they work. But I have two speakers at the back of the LCD of the metal housing. They are two 10-watt, old-fashioned cone speakers, quite beefy. I don't really want to put round perforated holes in there, so it looks like they're speakers, because the PET didn't have speakers originally. But I could be swayed on that one way or another. The front logos and things of the label may change. I would like to put my own logo on there rather than MVT, which is Mike's Vintage Tech. Nothing terribly original there. The APET name I would like to keep for all the models. It might have a little something there, like Mr. perhaps, or whatever. But if I change it, it just means I have to have different labels for each model. And if someone buys one, if I eventually make these, which I hope to do, I want to make a base kit, and the base kit is this top housing, the base, and the screen assembly with a monitor fitted. And with that, I may sell the kit as an Amiga kit with the base plate and the keyboard and housing and surround things, so you can make it as an Amiga. But if you get bored with that in the future and say, oh, I'd like a PC version, you can then order a back plate and a keyboard, change everything to pop this off, put a new keyboard in, so you can have a USB keyboard in there. So if you change it from an Amiga PET to a Mr. or a PC, then you'd have to tear the sticker off and put another one on, which I don't really want to do, because I know for a fact if you tear this off, this will grip like anything and it'll tear the paint, or it'll split, or so I'm not 100% sure on what to do then. So I'll think about that. So that's that. The power button is now there, so I can turn it off and turn it back on again. It should be illuminated, but I haven't wired it up yet. You probably can't see that. It's a little silver button with a blue ring in there, and it lights up. You can see the reflection now because it's dark. Oh, they're booting off the floppy. Oh, shows the floppy working anyway. So that's in RTG mode. So you'd flick it across to OCS, and here we go. We have whatever this is. Titanic. Raise the Titanic. Will you raise the Titanic to the surface? Mr. C. Milan, Plymouth, Devon. Millen. C. Millen. Version 1.1. So anyway, as you can see, it boots quite happily from standard Amiga stuff. So that's that. We also, the monitor is driven by a remote control. If I pointed it properly. I need to make there's two little holes there which I use to line up with the sensors in the screen. I really need to make the holes a little bit bigger or move them. But anyway, so you've got volume, you've got picture mode, all the usual stuff, menu of stuff and stuff. It has a volume control in there. So if you're using, you might have seen a picture of this where I had the Stranger Things, the Netflix thing on, and that was just a little TV card. So inside here, which I'll show you in a few minutes, there is a three-way HDMI selector, which is driven by this button here. So I have HDMI 1, which is the PI output, which is given as RTG for the 68 EMU. 2 will switch back to an RGB signal that goes via HDMI for the Amiga, for OCS, ECS, etc. And the output 3 does nothing, so it's not connected. But if you could put a TV card in there, a Netflix stick, an Amazon stick, or whatever you like. So you could conceivably have this at work while you're working away on Imagine 3D. Flick over to Crazy Cars 3. Flick over again to Stranger Things on Netflix, or whatever. More useful if it's a PC. If this was a PC, then you can have Office running on there or whatever, and then flick across to whatever you wanted to watch, I suppose. Although if you're running on a PC, you might as well just run it through the web browser. Anyway, so that's that. So what else have I been doing? Why have I got this on? Let me get rid of that. Reboot. Let it boot, and then flick the screen selector. 68 PiStorm. So this is a relatively new version of the PiStorm update. It's not the original PiStorm. This is the EMU or EMU 68, whatever they want to call it. So it runs. Oh, wrong mouse. So it runs slightly quicker than the original PiStorm. I mean, this is not what the case is about, but this is what I had in mind when I designed the case. I wanted it to run Vampire, PiStorm, and any other up-and-coming FPGA systems that bolt onto the Amiga. What could we run? So that's that running. There is a CD DVD on the side. I'll show you that in a moment. My initial concept for this, as so much as an Amiga is concerned, is that I wanted 2 floppy drives and a CD drive. Initially I wanted a CD drive and a floppy, but I didn't know where to put the floppy. I thought about it at the front, but the front is sloped like that, so it's not easily doable. I was going to put it in this housing, this bit here, the bezel, but it's not wide enough without changing the design of the machine. I mean, this is slightly smaller than it should be anyway. This is the very first case that I made, and I made it slightly wrong. So this is where this comes from. Now this Commodore did something similar with the SK Pets. They had a disk drive housing on there. I did briefly think about making a separate box for floppy drives and having, you know, a Commodore-esque external disk drive unit. But that's a lot of hard work. Just says I, making a case. So anyway, that's that. So let's open it up. This is what I've done this morning, so no one's seen this yet. So with 2 fingers, I'm going to hold the front because it's balancing on a little table. So if I bring the light down, if I can bring the light down, you might be able to see, or you probably can't see, we now have 2 gas struts, one here and one here. So the case lifts quite easily on a gas strut. You just put two fingers in and lift it up. This is heavy. Might not look heavy, it is heavy. The whole case is heavy. So inside we have a DVD CD drive which ejects from the side. It doesn't foul on anything. And the gas struts. The gas struts have been an interesting problem. I didn't really want to put gas struts on. I toyed with the idea some months ago and then discounted it because I knew it would be a pain in the neck. But at the last show, 2 or 3 people have said to me I like the idea of putting gas struts in, because I did mention it in the video quite a while ago. And I made the mistake of mentioning it to Steve Jones, who wouldn't stop going on about bloody gas struts. So this is your fault, Jonesy. So anyway, so I put one gas strut on because I wanted to keep it simple, and then 80 Newton meters, and it would barely lift the case. So I thought, okay, I'll change the 80 for 100. So I put 100 Newton meter on. It opened the case but twists it like that because all the lifting force is on one side. Not ideal. It's highlighted another problem in so much as my rear piano hinge is of very, very poor quality, which is fine. It's just the first one I could find to get it ready for the show that I went to about a month ago. So I'm going to change the piano hinge at the back, which you can just see. I mean, it's not fitted properly anyway, so I don't mind doing that. So that's going to be changed, which will stiffen it up, but it still wouldn't work on one gas strut. So now we have 2 gas struts. These are both 80 nanometers, Newton meters rather, nanometers, Newton meters. So you've got 2 80 Newton meters gas struts, which work really quite well. No, I tell a complete lie. They're 50s. I've ordered 80s, they haven't come yet. So these are both 50s. Right. It still needs a little bit of effort to lift. I would like it to just flick and lift, but we'll see if an 80 does that. I don't want to put hundreds on, but I might do. So we'll forget that for a moment. So that's the gas struts. They work. Holds the case open. It's good. So what do we have here? We have a card here, which is Stephen Jones's designs and Rob. And this is an Amiga Zorro, whatever the Zorro that is the Amiga has. Zorro 1, I guess, to a Zorro 2 and a Zorro through plate, through adapter. The idea was I wasn't going to use that either. I was going to use a small Zorro card, the ones you can buy on eBay. I plug it in, it's got a slot sticking up. But I had no success with it at all. It wouldn't find a disk drive, a DVD drive, CD drive. So eventually I gave up. I also wanted to power the Amiga by the ATX power pack, which is in the back of the head unit. So Stephen's design killed 2 birds with 1 stone, but I didn't design the case to house it, so it's caused me some other problems. So this card is from Stephen's Checkmate case. He's kindly discussed with me using it in my case, so I will probably get some of these made. Because I need to power the Amiga through ATX, which is up there and connects there. Because I needed a stable power supply to drive a monitor, a CD, the Amiga, and whatever other peripherals are on there. And the Amiga power supply was never going to do that. And I didn't want the wires hanging out the back of the Amiga or out of the APAT anyway. I hate wires. This stuff here, hate them. So I need to reroute them nicely, which I will do at some point. I've extended the keyboard by just some DuPont cables. Cheap and easy. So, video signals. So we have a Raspberry Pi there, driving the Pi Storm, which gives us an RTG video out, which is here. Now this cable goes to the triple selector HDMI, which is driven by the switch on the front. So the triple switch HDMI is just a Chinese splitter. It's nothing special, which allows me to select between 3 inputs. The reason I chose 3 inputs is because I wanted RTG, I wanted RGB to HDMI for the internal Amiga signal, video signal, and a spare another for I don't know what. As it turns out, I can stick a card in there and watch Netflix, so that's great. So when I get bored of the Amiga, I can sit down and watch Stranger Things or whatever. We have here a simple SCART to HDMI converter. That's some Chinese thing. Works very well. I've been using them for years as streaming devices, connected to a Elgato thing. Piece of crap that is. And then we have the floppy lead going into floppy drive 1. There's nothing connected to 2 yet. I haven't got my PCB as I mentioned before. So this is an Amiga 500 Plus. So I've got 2 meg chip with an Amiga kit, little RAM expansion in there, and the power connectors there, which you probably can't see. So in effect, that is my case. There are things I need to do. The top mounting here is just a plate with 4 little bolts that come down. You sandwich the keyboard, screw the plate in, tighten the screws up, and that is your Amiga keyboard locked in place. The reason I made it simple is because I wanted it simple. I had to have an easy keyboard surround that would lock in an Amiga keyboard and a PC keyboard. Now the PC keyboard has to be a standard PC keyboard of 104 or 5 keys, whatever they are, ISO whatever that is. The opening is a standard sized opening for a PC keyboard, which just so happens to be the size of an Amiga 500 keyboard. So Commodore did, by luck, seem to adhere to an ISO standard, probably before it was invented. But there we go. And there's a little hole there which you won't be able to see, which is in the back panel. The back panel is removable. Not at the moment because the whole case hinges on it. But when they're built originally, that back panel is removable for either a PC, so it'll have a big window cut out in it for you to pop your I/O panel. The Amiga one has all the cutouts for the 500 and a hole above it to thread in the cable for the SCART RGB, so you can send the signals inside the case. I'm going to have some special SCART cables made, and they'll be, I don't know, yay long. So they fit inside. So what else am I going to do to the case before I say that's it? Well, we're pretty much there. Apart from 1 or 2 tweaks to make things easier to put together, that's it. I cut this slot in for the DVD drive, which you can see there. I didn't have that pre-cut, so I made that. I'm in 2 minds whether to put that into the final design. I like the idea of having an internal CD-DVD player, but that means every case is going to have a big cutout in it. So if it has a cutout in it, and you don't want one, you've got a big hole in your case, which I don't like. So I need to think about that. Not everyone will want a Zorro 2 card. What if you don't want a DVD player? Not everyone does. Stephen Jones again on his Checkmate has already crossed this particular bridge. He's made a small card, or Rob has, which plugs into the power and feeds through into his case and has an ATX connector on it. So you can plug an ATX in and away you go. So I might do something like that, I don't know. My Mac's doing all kinds of things. What's he doing? Updating. Not while I'm streaming. So case wise, we're about there now. I'm going to try stronger gas struts. Stephen will like that because he likes that sort of thing. My escape button doesn't work purely because the membrane's on the blink, so I'll reboot that. The speakers are not connected up. Any noise you hear is coming through the monitor speakers, and they're a little bit tinny, so please forgive me. I will do the speakers at some point, I just haven't done it yet. So does it play Amiga games? Where's the mouse? I did have a USB mouse, but I broke it. So we're back to the old Amiga one with its slow buttons. What does stuff without me having to do anything? So there we are really, I don't know what else to say. The PC case, or the PC version of this, there's, wherever the remote is, there's a zoom button, so you can have different screen modes. If it's off to one side, you can big it up and that sort of thing. The PC case is essentially the same case, it's the same top, it's the same bottom, it's the same housing. The difference is it takes a standard PC keyboard and it has a big rectangle in the back for the ports, the USB, mouse and whatever keyboards. Not the keyboard will be internal. Now I haven't, for various reasons, included on the PC version back planes for the PCI. The reason for this is that the case is, even as tall and as big as it is a little bit too shallow for PC cards. So I deemed that a motherboard with built-in graphics might be a better solution, like a Ryzen with an AMD Ryzen with Ryzen or Radeon, whatever they are. Intel do their own Intel graphics, don't they, and whatever. So for a machine of this size, I don't think that's a problem, because you're not going to be playing, I don't know, whatever. You're not going to be playing the latest AAA titles on a 14-inch screen. So it doesn't need some whizzy graphics card that's going to cost £1,000 to fit in here, because it's pointless. If people pester me, I may make a custom case which is a little bit taller and possibly has the back plane slots in it for putting PCI in. I may do that in the future. I may put a bigger screen in the future, and I will do other versions of this in the future. There will be a Mr. one, there will be a sort of a generic I/O panel to the back, which will take the panels for I don't know, a Raspberry Pi, Pi 400, a Banana Pi, whatever you like. It will probably have a couple of HDMIs, it will have a fistful of USBs. That's about it. What else does it need? And some way of powering it through an ATX adapter that's on the case somewhere. And then it's up to you what you do with it. You can go through a list of bits that I've used to make this one and the PC one and say, oh, so that works with that and that works with that, I'll fit that into mine and I can make my case do whatever. And that's fine and dandy. I don't see the point in having a really big case and a Raspberry Pi that's as big as that, sat in a case as big as this. I don't really see the point, but some people might do that, and that's perfectly fine. The PC version will take ATX and MATX. My PC version downstairs has an X470, whatever it is, AMD case, AMD motherboard, which is quite a big chunky thing with flashy lights and the crap that kids like. So that's quite a big case and that fits okay. I have missed off a couple of holes for the full-size motherboard, so one corner of it's got no standoffs, so I need to bang a couple of holes in so it'll fit a full ATX as well as a micro ATX. ITX, I don't know, I haven't got one to try. Well, that's not true, I probably have got one somewhere. So I haven't tried an ITX case in it, so I don't know whether that fits or not. I mean, in truth, anything will fit if you drill a handful of holes, but it would be much better if they're pre-drilled or pre-cut in this case. I've been asked a few times about cost of these cases, and I don't have a set cost at the moment. I know what it's cost me. I've made two of these. I know what the material costs are, but I made them. I folded the box, I welded the box, I cleaned it, I painted it, I assembled it, I did it all myself. If I'm going to make a batch of 10 or 20 or 30 of these, then I need a local company to cut the steel, fold it to shape, weld it, and give it to me as either an unfinished, unpainted unit or as a finished painted unit. So I'm exploring that with a company at the moment, where I have to do a few revisions to the drawings before I submit to them, and they give me a cost and things, so that will take a few weeks. I hope to have these cases available, who knows, let's say the first batch by Christmas. I don't really want to do a Kickstarter. Money is a problem, time is a problem, space is a problem. If I did a Kickstarter, then that would take away the money problem, but it would exacerbate the time problem and the space problem. So I need to think about that, unless anyone's got a big bag of money they want to pass my way. So cost wise, I don't want to give a cost. In my mind I have a cost. I want to try and keep the bare base unit, top, middle and bottom, if you will, with a screen. I want to do that for something around 500 quid, maybe 599 or 550 or something. That's a figure I'd like to achieve, if at all possible. A fully built unit, well, the sky's the limit. What PC do you want in it? If you want an Amiga in it, are you supplying me the Amiga to put in it? Does the Amiga work? Does it want recapping? Who knows? So there's lots of variables there. But the base case I will definitely make available at some point. And then it's up to you guys what you do with it. The weight of it when it's fully built with all the gubbins in is ridiculous. So if I can make one of these with just a screen and without power, without a motherboard, without disk drives, without floppy drives, without anything in it, then it's a lot lighter and cheaper to ship. I dread to think what it will cost to ship. The floppy drives won't be in the PC version because there's no point, but you could have a USB in there, you could have two USB hubs, you could have whatever the hell you like in there, or you could do away with that and just have the standard thin housing which has nothing in it. But the chances are people will want a USB, front USB thing of some description. So that's about it. My apologies for not having any chat window open. I don't know why the chat window has disappeared, but please leave messages on Facebook and I'll get back to them, or post them on YouTube and I will answer them as and when. I will do another, we'll probably do a Zoom call with some chaps in the States, and hopefully get some more questions and answers. It'll be a little bit more free-flowing than me just rambling away. Hopefully the sound's okay. I dare say you've not heard a word of this. But that's it. Any questions, please feel free to fire them over to me. There is an email for MVT. There's my Facebook, there's my YouTube, which is Mike's Vintage Tech, so please feel free to fire me a message over. Tomorrow I'll probably put the volume control in there. Oh, you can see the hole now, I've got the light on it. And I'll probably put the volume control in there and maybe wire up the amplifier. Or I may not do any of that and put a wing mirror on the wife's car that's been hit by a lorry. Yeah, there's so many things to do. Right, that's it from me. Thank you very much for your time, and I shall see you in the next video, I hope. I'll probably do next time we do a video I might stick the PC one on, but I need to do a few tweaks to the PC one. The PC case has had much less attention to it than the Amiga one. The Amiga I made first, and I've probably had 2 months of messing about with this, putting things on it and faffing about. The PC case I made second, stuck a motherboard in it, plugged the monitor in, and I've done nothing else with it. So in some ways the PC case is a lot easier than this one. Well, actually it's not in some ways, in lots of ways. So there we are. Anyway, that's it. Thank you very much. I'll see you next time. See if we can stop this streaming now.